Microsoft is scheduled to report first quarter earnings on Wednesday, April 30th after the market close. Microsoft in the previous quarter reported revenue of $69.63 billion, beating estimates by $823.09 million. They reported earnings per share of $3.23, beating estimates by 11 cents. For this quarter, they're expected to produce $68.43 billion in revenue, with earnings per share of $3.22. Over the last 90 days, 19 analysts have raised estimates and 11 analysts have lowered estimates. The Microsoft price chart hasn't traded very well since they last reported earnings. You can see it's been on a downward trend over the last quarter, but they did take a pretty steep drop with the tariff announcements, made a little bit of recovery, another price drop, and then back up to where we are at this point today. So it hasn't been trading exceptionally well. If we look at the RSI, we can see it is above the midline. It's currently at 55.58. When we look at the PPO, we did have a signal line crossover a week or two ago. PPO is in positive territory at this moment. The signal line is still below the midpoint. When we look at the relative strength and relative momentum compared to the SPX, it does have relative strength exceeding that of the SPX. The momentum is under the SPX at the moment. We've seen pretty flat accumulation over the last 10 months or so, with a slight increase over the last 6 weeks. We do have positive money flow. When we look at the relative price performance compared to the SPY, Microsoft is trading below the SPY at 11.42%. When we look at the tech sector, it's underperforming 7.24%, and its own industry 7.98%. The Microsoft trend chart, which is a 5-year chart using weekly data, we can see that Microsoft is underperforming using the long-term averages. Slight improvement here over the last couple of weeks. Same applies to the midterm averages. We do see a little bit of improvement, but it is underperforming those averages. In the short term, we have seen an improvement over the last couple of weeks above the midline, so it's performing better than the shorter term averages. Looking at some key metrics, we can see that Microsoft trades at a premium to the sector for the forward PE. Microsoft at 29.43 times compared to the sector at 19.85 times. We look at the EPS growth rate and revenue growth rate. Microsoft does expect to have greater growth in both areas. EPS at 15.73% compared to the sector at 11.02%. The expected revenue growth at 14.04% compared to the sector average of 6.67%. Looking at the profitability, we can see that Microsoft is much more profitable than the sector average at 35.43 compared to 4.02. Finally, we'll take a look at fast graphs. We can see that Microsoft is trading at 30.46 times at the moment, has an EPS yield of 3.28 dividend yield of 0.85. Over the time frame we have highlighted, which is 13 years, 10 years in the past, 3 years in the forward, they've had an adjusted earnings growth rate of 15.65%. Fastgraphs calculates their fair value at 15.65 times. They normally trade at about 26.83 times, so they are trading at a slight premium to their normal PE. If they traded from where they are now to the normal PE at the end of their fiscal year, we would have about a 2% annual return. And if they traded at their normal PE, then we could expect a 14.01 total annualized return. I want to thank you for watching and hope the earnings preview was helpful. Talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Thank you and trade well.